is John Bush from Armored Saint, and you are listening to BackstageAxxess.com, where the real show begins. Turn it up!
Hey everyone, this is Chris with BackstageAxxess.com. Armored Saint has a brand new album out, and we have vocalist John Bush here to tell us all about it. Well, hello John, thank you for calling in with us today, and welcome to BackstageAxxess.com. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Now, Armored Saint has just released your 7th studio album, Wind Hands Down. Could you tell us a little bit about the new record?
Well, it's our first record in 5 years. Armored Saint kind of works at a very slow turtle's pace at times, but we try to think of it in terms of high quality and not about quantity. We kind of have to.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a record that we're extremely proud of. We think we really pushed the envelope, so to speak. We think we've written some really killer, powerful songs that show a lot of diversity and a lot of songwriting progress. Just kind of an evolution on the status of the band, and at the same time, you know, being true to what we do, and probably focusing more in our style than ever before. So we're real happy with the results.
Okay, now I love the whole feel of the record. It's really it's Armored Saint, but it's just fresh and modern sounding. But I really loved the closing track, Up Yours. Could you tell us a little background on that song, maybe? I just love that one. I can't stop listening to that one.
That's funny. Well, it's a good song. It's a fun song. It was one of the first couple ones that we actually wrote. It's got a great riff. You know, lyrically, it's kind of more of a story, slightly fictionally based, but, you know, kind of loosely based on somebody I know. It's more of a fun song. You know, there's some deeper tracks, some more emotional songs, you know, songs that are a little bit more daring lyrically, if you will, but that song is kind of more just a fun song. It feels like it could be an anthem at a giant sporting event, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting the crowd to sing Up Yours to the opposing team, perhaps. And it was funny because we were able to get Joey's daughter as well as my 2 children on the end to yell Up Yours, which is probably one of the only songs on the record with profanity. And of course, that's the song that the kids sing, which, you know, this was appropriate, right? So, you know, it was a fun song to do. But I really dig it. It's a good closer. We entertained closing with the song Dive, but I love Dive, and it's awesome. It's a slow piano piece, but I didn't want to kind of end on that. I kind of wanted to still kind of end on a powerful note, and you know, it seemed like the appropriate album closer.
Right, and it is. It's a great song, and not that the others aren't great. The whole album's just ridiculously good, and you've got, like you said, the deeper tracks like maybe Dive or Mess, and it's just a good mix. What was the process like for the writing for the album? Is it a team effort? And you said it was a slow go, so did that happen over a course of quite a few years?
It actually didn't. It probably only happened over the course of about a year and a half.
Okay.
As I've been talking to people and explaining that, you know, we have a lot of things going on in our life. Some of us have other things going on in terms of family and other jobs that you have to earn income, and so it has to kind of coincide with all that. And so, you know, there was times where maybe we only had about an hour to work on something, and I would go to Joey's house, and we would do it, and then we'd go on with our day. But we were pretty productive and made the most of our time. You know, most of the material was written by Joey. He's just an awesome composer, and he's, you know, the orchestrator of the whole band. I mean, basically, he's like the manager. He's turned into the MVP, and he's awesome.
Okay.
Not that anybody else is important, because we all are, and that's the beauty of Armored Saint, that this kind of collective group of everyone kind of fitting into the roles. It's the same guys that have been throughout all the years. The only person that's missing is Dave Pritchard, who unfortunately died in 1989. And, you know, we love Dave, and I feel like his vibe is still always there around us. But other than that, it's the same guy. So
right.
There's a cool factor were involved in that, I think. And you know, Joey made some awesome demos. It was always fun to sing on them, and some of his demos by sound better than most people's records. He's just very meticulous. So I would go to his house sometimes and work on ideas that I had written to the songs lyrically. And you know, I think we just kind of we tried to be as productive as we could in the time that we had, and that was the way we kind of worked. I mean, the days of 5 guys getting into a rehearsal studio and banging out songs in the course of a 4 or 5 hour day is great, and it was fun, but it's just not the way we work anymore.
Right.
It just, our lives don't allow that. So we kind of roll with it, and this is how we do it now. And there's some aspects of technology that make it cool. You know, obviously, when you have a home studio, which Joey does in his house, which he invested a lot of money, but still in his house, so it's not like he has a time constraint on how long he can work there. He can work all night if he wants. So
sure.
It does enable that. So that, you know, we went with it. We felt like we had a lot of fun in the process of creating songs, and I thought we were pretty productive. So it appears that there was a long time in between the last 2 records. Certainly was, as far as its pure numbers, because the Old Rosa came out in 2010 and this one in 2015. But, you know, like I said, a lot of other things were going on at the time. So.
Sure. Now, are there any plans for a tour in the works for this record, or have you heard anything on that?
We've already been doing some dates. We did some shows here in the U.S. with Saxon. We played a couple on the East Coast, played a couple in Texas, played a couple here on the West Coast.
Okay.
We are going to Europe for one big show in France called the Hellfest, which is a pretty big festival out there now. Then we're going back to Europe to do a combination of festivals and some dates in Queensryche, which should be fun. And then we looked to plan on coming back to the States and maybe doing some more shows with Saxon in September. So I think we will be busy probably for the next year. I don't think that you know, it's going to be, you know, 89 dates in 90 days, because I would want to shoot myself in the head if I did that, and I don't want to. So, but you know, I think there's a lot of places Armourtain hasn't played in a long time. There's also places we've never played. So, in a perfect world, we'd get to those territories. As I've been saying in various interviews I've done, I just don't feel like it has to happen in the first, you know, 6 weeks of the record release. You know, we can put this record out and you know, maybe spend the next year playing places here and there. So, and that's, I think, how it will work out. You know, we're a 30-year-old band, so it's not like we have to hurry up and, you know, get it done. And the reality of life. So, you know, there's no reason we can't just keep playing shows for maybe the next couple years in conjunction with this record. So.
Okay, sounds great. Now, you know, you mentioned you didn't want to do 89, you know, shows in 90 days or whatever, but all the touring over the years, and it can take a toll on you physically, you know, your voice, your vocal cords. Do you have anything special that you do to take care of your voice or to prepare for an upcoming tour?
Well, I try to warm up every morning when I'm singing. I took a lesson, or some lessons, from a teacher. His name was Ron Anderson. He taught a lot of different people. I probably should have stuck with him and took more lessons, but he's not cheap. So I took, you know, we would record stuff, and basically it's a morning warm up where you, I mean, it's equivalent to like just stretching in the morning, and that's important. So. And then I try to just take better care of myself these days. Didn't always do that, by all means. But I certainly, you know, at 51 years old, if I want to keep singing and singing at a pretty high quality, I better do that. And
right.
I'm ready to anyway. I mean, I got a lot of stuff out of my system in my 20s and 30s, so, you know, I don't think I need to continue to explore that world. But yeah, that being said, I do like having fun. But I mean, you know, as a singer, it's you're not like a guitar player. I mean, you have to take care of yourself physically if you want to be able to do it and do it at a high quality. So I really respect that and try to. And kind of have to watch what you eat. This is, you know, people that probably wouldn't equate that with singing, but you know, spicy foods, acidic stuff is always kind of detrimental to a singer. So you know, try to get some rest and you know, try to kind of focus more in on my style than ever before. I know what I can and can't do, and try to stick to those parameters.
Okay.
You know, I feel like I'm probably singing better than I did 20 years ago. You know, so you know, I'm digging it.
Okay, awesome. Now, of course, this record with Armored Saint, but you also spent some time with Anthrax, and I wanted to just touch on the vocals of that because, of course, that band has a totally different style than Armored Saint. How do you make adjustments vocally, now that you're back with Armored Saints reunited? It's just a little different style. Are there difficulties making adjustments, or is it just second nature to you now?
Well, it's second nature to do what I do in Armored Saint because it's always been me. When I joined Anthrax, my vocal style is different than Joey Belladonna's. His voice is higher than mine.
Right.
But I always think it's important to try to sing a song as true to the original version as possible, even my own.
Right.
So, I really try to do that, and I tried to do that in Anthrax. I had to make some adjustments just simply because my voice was different than his. But I know how it is when I'm a fan as well, and I see bands play, and if the song isn't close to the original. I mean, live is live, and you should have some margin of flexibility with that because it is live. But you don't want it to be some completely different version. And I feel the same as a fan as well. So I try to do that, and I think I did my best in Anthrax. It's like I said, it's just a different sound between the two singers. But I tried to sing them as close to the original versions as possible. I mean, hell, I made a record, The Greater of Two Evils, with Anthrax, so I redid a bunch of old Anthrax songs. Right. So, which was, at this point in my life, I probably wouldn't do that again, quite frankly. But I mean, I agreed to it then. I don't regret it or anything, but I wouldn't do something like that over again. Because I don't really think you have to redo something. I think that when something's done, like you can play it live or you can record it live, but to re-record, like there's bands re-recording their old records. I think Def Leppard has done that, and I don't know, Pyromania or something. I'm like, well, why are you gonna? I mean, there's probably a business reason why they're doing it. I think that is the main reason. But for me, somebody asked me, would you record March of the Saint? And with the new sound that is going on now, and I'm like, no, I don't, because that was then. That was us then. I don't need to do that again. We play it live, and that's that. So, that's kind of how I view it.
Now, what's your relationship with Scott and the rest of the guys from Anthrax nowadays?
My relationship with Scott is fine. I see him actually periodically. We text one another about various topics, whatever it may be. I did it. Actually, he had a birthday party for his wife, Pearl, who actually sings on our record, and he organized a bunch of musicians to play a party for her, and it was really fun. And I ended up singing a song, "Safe Home," that was on the last Anthrax record I did with him, and we had fun. So it's all good. I haven't as much of a communication with Charlie Benante or Frankie Bello in the last couple of years. Circumstantial, I guess. Probably not much more than that. Although it's been a little distant and maybe slightly odd, but it's the way life goes. And sometimes relationships, you just kind of, in all life, all aspects of relationships. Sometimes when they end, sometimes you need some time to elapse, and then you can come back to it and kind of resume it, or not, but that's kind of how I see it. I've had people and friends through the years, and maybe even, partners that you just, sometimes you need time to go by before you are ready to, resume a friendship or a communication, and maybe that's the way it is, so.
Sure. Now, you had mentioned March of the Saint, which that's from 1984. So you've been around the music business for a long time now.
Yes, I have.
What's the biggest difference between then and now as far as the business side of the industry goes?
Wow, well, there's a lot, There's obviously the whole state of the record business and the way people purchase music, and also, record sales, unfortunately, are not as strong as they used to be. Obviously, merchandise is different. It probably, in the 80s, it was such a strong, overwhelming thing. And even though, you know, we still sell T-shirts, and I'm sure a lot of bands do well, I still don't think it's ever had the power that did when every single kid had an Iron Maiden shirt, you know. So,
right.
you know, I think that, you know, obviously, you know, the style of music is very different. But, you know, the beauty of what's happening now in the music business is that fans are able to kind of stick around. I think there was a time, and this is my own personal opinion, people won't have to agree with me, but I think there was a time when if you were an older band, it kind of was frowned upon, especially in hard rock heavy metal. I felt like there was a time, at least when I was in Anthrax, where we struggled to stay relevant in the mid to late 90s, beginning of the zeros, because I think people were like, it's all about new, it's all about what's happening, and you're older. And I think that finally it's kind of gone full circle now, where there's a lot of respect for bands who have been around a long time.
Absolutely.
And, you know, maybe it took a whole other generation of people to actually have kids, you know, and pass that down to them. And so now it's kind of, you know, there's two generations, and maybe that made the difference. That's my own observation, which I think is great, because obviously, you know, there's sometimes you can't beat, you know, the originals, and the older bands certainly have an impact on carving music and setting a tone. That's not to say it's not important to hear new music. To me, I'm always looking to buy new records of new artists and staying in tune with what's happening currently, because they're important, and I want to know what's happening. I don't want to be, you know, this oblivious fuddy-duddy going, it's only better in my day, and, you know, I can't live like that. I don't want to. So, you know, I get inspired by new music, big grooves, but at the same time, I'm happy that, you know, I can still be a contributor as well, musically, and that, you know, some people still want to hear what I do. So, it's a combination of all that, and, you know, it's funny, because, like, the 80s, nobody will ever, you know, it's like, that's the 80s. It's
right.
The 80s, you know, it's so iconic now. As well as the 70s and, you know, 60s were always, but now the 80s, I mean, hell, the 90s are nostalgic now. So, which is cool, you know. There's no reason that you can't always go back and check out older music, regardless of your age. And so, I like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John. Best of luck with the record, Win Hands Down, in the tour. It's a beast mode of an album. People really need to check it out. I think they're going to enjoy it for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for the nice words. Appreciate it.